a kilometre from the surface, beyond the reach of the sun. A giant black void, larger than all the rest of the world's habitats combined. There's life here, but not as we know it. Alien-like creatures produce dazzling displays of light. Nearly all animals need to attract mates and repel predators. This language of light is so widespread here that these signals are probably the commonest form of communication on the entire planet. And yet we still know little about them. Hunters illuminate themselves and, by doing so, attract inquisitive prey. This is fangtooth. It has the largest teeth for its size of any fish. There are pressure sensors all over its head and body, which can detect anything moving in the surrounding water. It's the midnight zone's most voracious fish. But prey use light as a distraction. A decoy of luminous ink. Down here, in this blackness, creatures live beyond the normal rules of time. Siphonophores are virtually eternal. They repeatedly clone themselves, some eventually growing longer than a blue whale. Down here, it snows. Continuous clouds of organic debris drift slowly down from above. This is food, and a whole variety of filter feeders depend on it. Jellyfish, and delicate sea cucumbers. The 1% of marine snow they miss eventually settles on the sea floor. Over millions of years, it forms a layer of mud up to 1 kilometre thick. It's an empty plain that covers half the surface of our planet. The deep seabed may at first appear lifeless, but it's home to a unique caste of mud dwellers. The sea toad. It is an ambush predator with an enormous mouth and infinite patience. This fish has been living for so long here that its fins have changed into something more useful. Feet. They help it shuffle about on the seafloor. The flapjack octopus. It hovers just above the surface of the mud as it delicately sifts through it, searching for worms. But it can jet away at the first sign of danger. In the underwater forests off northern Japan, the residents of this sunken wreck are waiting for the summer temperatures to reach 16 degrees Celsius. That, for some, is the time for mating. Kind of giant wrasse called a crocodile. This is a male. And in female terms, he's particularly handsome. He's 1 meter long and weighs 15 kilos. Much larger than the diminutive female. And he is ready to breed. He attempts to mate with her, and with any of the other dozen or so females that live in his territory, whenever he gets the chance. But females from around 10 years old take little notice of his advances. This is because when any large female reaches a critical body size, she can begin a dramatic transformation. Over just a few months, particular enzymes inside her body cease to work. And male hormones start to circulate. As time passes, her head expands and her chin gets longer. A she has changed into a he. And with this comes a change in temperament. The old male who ruled all the females here is challenged to a face-off. The more bulbous the head, the more it intimidates an opponent. The territory has a new ruler. Only the largest females transform themselves in this way. But the change enables them to have more mates, so they will have many more offspring carrying their genes. But a new male can't afford to be complacent. Inside the body of every Cobudae female, there is a new male in waiting. Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean. For millions of years, this remote speck of land has been ruled by crabs. Their ancestors came from the sea, but most have now adopted a land-based existence. Given there are so many of them, they get along relatively harmoniously. They're the gardeners and caretakers of a tiny crab utopia. Once a year, they must all return to the sea to breed, and the march of the red crabs is one of the greatest natural spectacles on Earth. There are 50 million of them. It's an event that has brought the island worldwide fame. But in recent years, millions of red crabs haven't managed to reach the sea. An invader has occupied this island. Yellow crazy ants. They escaped from visiting ships, and with no predators to control them, they have now created vast super colonies in the forest. When migrating red crabs march into their territory, the ants attack, squirting acid into the crabs' eyes and mouths. The crabs have no defense. Blinded and confused, they're doomed. Humans brought these ant invaders here, and now humans are having to control them. Isolated communities may evolve for millions of years in relative peace. But when new challenges arrive, they can struggle to cope. Of all the species that have become extinct in recent years, around 80% have been islanders. This tiny poison arrow frog is carrying his tadpole piggerback. It hatched on a leaf, and now he's taking it to a pool in a bromeliad, high up in the branches. The tadpole wriggles off. He may have half a dozen babies, each of which he puts into its own tiny pool. He makes regular tours of all his nurseries, checking on his tadpole's welfare. This youngster is hungry and tells him so by nibbling his legs and vibrating against his body. But the male can't feed the tadpole himself. He needs help. He has to find a female. There she is. He calls. And she follows. He has to lead, for only he knows exactly where he deposited each tadpole. This one is now very hungry indeed. He calls to the female encouragingly. She jumps in, perhaps to assess the situation. Out she comes without having done what's required, so he keeps calling. In she goes a second time. This time she produces food for the hungry tadpole, an infertile egg. There. Out she comes, and mother and father embrace. Baby has its dinner. They're setting off on the greatest overland trek made by any animal. But wherever grass eaters travel, predators lie in wait. Here they are, Arctic wolves. They must seize their chance while the caribou pass through their territory. The wolf runs at the herd, trying to flash out the weak or the slow. A calf is separated. At full tilt, 60 kilometers an hour, the wolf is just faster. But the calf has stamina. Only a few weeks old, and this calf's will to survive is remarkable. And it needs to be, for these young caribou have now started a journey that will last a lifetime. Forever chasing the seasonal growth of the grass on which they depend. Like all grassland creatures, they are at the mercy of these unpredictable but ultimately bountiful lands. Grass can survive some of the harshest conditions on Earth: flood, fire and frost, and still flourish. So it is that grasslands provide a stage for the greatest gatherings of wildlife on planet Earth. This far ant has reached the edge of her known world. Her way forward has now become blocked by the rising waters. She's one of many, and in a few minutes their underground home will be submerged. Forced to evacuate, workers and soldiers try to save the larval young. As their nest floods, the colony seems to be doomed. But from chaos comes order. The far ants band together, each locking legs with its neighbours. They're building a living raft. Each ant is covered in fine hairs that trap air against its body. As the raft forms, this air creates a cushion for them all to float on. This is the power of the colony. By working together, they've become unsinkable. And no one gets left behind. Pulled from the shallows, the colony is now at the mercy of the flood. Holding tight to the larvae and keeping their queen hidden at the centre of the raft, the colony drifts into deeper water. Where they're vulnerable to fish that now swim through the flooded forest. Those that lose their grip must get back to the safety of the raft. Now a few females appear. They're much bigger than the males, and warming will take them longer. She releases a scent, a pheromone, that attracts the males. They outnumber her 100 to 1. To speed her own return to activity, she will absorb heat from them. Intoxicated by her scent, the males compete for her, wrapping themselves around her. She now has hundreds of males on top of her, making mating near impossible. But she has a way of weeding out the men from the boys. She'll make a daring ascent of the nearby cliff. She barges her way through the crowd to get to the rock face. As she climbs, only the strongest, fittest males can keep up with her. She's made it to the top. Only a few of her suitors have managed to rise to the occasion, and she may reward them all. The rare and wonderful golden frog. It does have a voice, but it's not loud.
Individual males set up their territories beside the river and then wait for females to turn up. And since good positions for the territory are not common, they may have to hold them against intruders.
And here one comes. Just in case his call is inaudible, he makes his message clear with a wave. And his rival waves back. He repeats his message so there's no misunderstanding. But rival is not deterred. Well, that makes things perfectly clear. Another arrives. Perhaps, at last, this is a female. No, it's another male, so there will have to be a wrestling match. That should teach him. And his rival signals submission by keeping his head down. Now, where are those females? And here she is. She is pure unblemished gold and much bigger than he is. A finch. A female. Its ancestors doubtless were blown here by storms many centuries ago. Like most finches, they feed on seeds, nectar and insects. But there's little food of any kind on wolf. And since they aren't strong enough flyers to leave the island, they've had to find food from a very unusual source. They depend on another of the island's inhabitants. Nazca boobies. Every day, these seabirds commute between the island and their fishing grounds out in the open ocean. Each time a pair meet, they renew their bond and then catch up with the neighbours. Now is the time to hop into action. Blood. They are vampire finches. These little birds have become one of the world's newest species. She cuts the quill of a large flight feather and the blood flows. The sight of it attracts the attention of others. Blood is very nutritious, worth fighting for. So, with this never-ending supply of food, the vampire finches can flourish on an island where otherwise they could not survive. Why the boobies don't object, nobody knows. Perhaps the finches' behaviour started when they helped the boobies to remove parasites from their plumage. Maybe the boobies think that the little vampires are still providing a service. Who can tell? In just 3 weeks, 500,000 calves are born on these ash-rich plains. That's 24,000 a day, 1,000 an hour. Calves stand up within a few minutes of being born, though some need a little more time to find their feet. But a mother won't let her calf suckle until it's mastered a few physical skills. Walking, trotting, and running. Wildebeest calves must run if they're to stay alive. For these plains also support the greatest assembly of hunters on the planet. Each species has its own special hunting technique, but all have the same aim: to make the most of this brief superabundance of life. Only 1 in 10 wildebeest calves will survive to adulthood. But that is enough to maintain the million-strong herd of wildebeest and the planet's highest density of predators. A little red flying fox. Their ancestors flew here, travelling along the chain of volcanic islands that links Asia to Australia. But their huge wings, which stretch from their fingers to their toes, make it difficult for them to walk or take off from the ground. So when they want to rest, they hang upside down in trees. But the bats have to drink every day. And they do so on the wing. They swoop just low enough to wet their bellies, and then, back in their roosts, they will suck out the water. Each evening, 10,000 of them come here. Not all of them return. Every 2 meters of river, there is a crocodile. They were here long before the bats. Survivors from Australia's prehistoric past. These dramas have been taking place for millions of years. Aerial agility versus patience and deadly speed. Australia's forests are hostile places in which to make your home. St Andrew's Beach is one of the most crowded on the planet, and so holding a territory here is a constant battle. This bull elephant seal holds the mating rights to 60 females. For 2 months, he's guarded this stretch of beach. Unable to feed, he's losing 10 kilos a day. And he's exhausted. But other bulls are lying around, waiting their chance. Blubber, 15 centimeters thick, is protection against the cold, but not from the impact of a 4-ton opponent. Holds his ground and forces the intruder back out to sea. Life in the Antarctic is harsh indeed. But all these creatures come here because the Southern Ocean is one of the richest on Earth. 3 weeks ago, these mile-wide sandbars didn't exist. In another 3 months, they'll be back underwater. But now they provide a crucial opportunity for giant river turtles. They've been coming here at precisely this time of year for generations. "50,000 of them, a quarter of the world's population. They're all here for one reason, but their window of opportunity is short, so timing is everything. Scaling the 3-meter-high banks will take this female higher and drier than she's been for months. She's come here to lay her eggs. But others have beaten her to it. The early arrivals have already claimed nearly every inch of the beach. And there are still many more turtles to come. Wherever she turns, the space is taken. But being fashionably late does have an advantage. Had she arrived earlier, her eggs might have been dug up by those searching for somewhere to lay. She's found her spot. Settling down, she lays nearly 100 eggs. Burying them keeps them safe from predators, and the warm sand incubates the clutch. They must hatch before the river rises again and floods the sandbar. Any turtles that lay after her may have left it too late. Hopefully, she has got her timing right. Two months on, and the hatchlings emerge into the world. They were laid at the perfect time. Hundreds scramble for the river just as the water starts to rise. Those still to hatch aren't so lucky. A baby North American painted turtle. It and the rest of its clutch have only just hatched. But it's late in the year and the chill of winter has already begun. If the hatchlings clambered out of their hole now, they would find nothing to eat, so they stay where they are. The temperature will fall to -10 degrees. Ice crystals grow around the babies and even inside their bodies, but their tissues are protected by a kind of antifreeze. This would kill any mammal or bird. They remain in this deep freeze for up to 6 months. But spring comes at last. The ice melts around them and eventually within them. Slowly, they begin to come to life. It takes quite a time for them to become fully functional, but eventually they're ready to face the outside world. So, by allowing their bodies to cool, they have avoided the hard times. With the arrival of spring, their parents are now preparing to breed again. The male courts the female by gently strumming her cheeks with his long claws. And she responds. Cold blood is clearly no barrier to affection. In fact, reptiles can conduct as complex and as sensitive a courtship as many a mammal. Off the south coast lies by far the biggest of them, Tasmania. And that has its own special marsupial. One that seldom appears until after dark. The Tasmanian devil. Many predators inhabit a territory packed with prey, but here there's nothing like that for them. Each may travel for miles, night after night, prepared to eat anything it can find, dead or alive. The shoreline is a good place to search. There might be some small creatures to catch here, or maybe something that the tide has brought in. The carcass of a wallaby has been washed ashore. Tasmanian devils can eat 40% of their body weight in one session, and they have hugely powerful jaws. They tackle everything, even bones. Back at the den, there are other hungry mouths. Her two youngsters are 6 months old. They still rely on their mother's milk, but they're feeling peckish. There must be something solid they could find for themselves while they're waiting for a drink. Is this food? That possum smells tasty, but it's a little high up. This looks more promising. At last, a giant stick. Not bad for a first go. Their mother will protect and feed these youngsters for another 3 months. Their survival is important to her, but also for us. Because these are one of the last devil families in the world. Tasmanian devils are now endangered. Found in only a few places, such as this remote islet off the coast of Tasmania. The oceans around southern Asia are also feeling this pressure. These seas feed billions of people around the world. For many fishermen here, their catch is their only source of livelihood. And there is one fish here that they prize above all others. The whale shark. It swims slowly, gently harvesting the plankton. It's almost 20 meters long, the largest fish in the world. They are also under threat. Like many shark species in Asia, populations have declined by more than half in recent years. They are an easy and valuable catch. But here there is a respect for the seas and their inhabitants. Whale shark hunting has now been banned across Indonesia's waters. This whale shark plays a different part in the lives of these fishermen. They feed him, and the relationship seems to bring joy to both parties. And with this new protection has come something truly remarkable. Whale sharks from far away are seeking out these fishermen, and in these safe waters there is a chance for their numbers to increase. And maybe one day other shark species will be protected too. The people here have made a simple but extraordinary choice. Fishing in a way that is sustainable for themselves and the animals. Caring for wildlife is surely our shared responsibility. Across this vast continent and across the world, it is decisions like these that are key to protecting the planet's most precious diversity.